Fuck this.
Seriously?
I
One
only
more
go for
time.
music.
What? I know, but one more time, and I have to use this red boot on your name tag.
Oh, okay, alright, okay. I will refrain.
Let's give it 2 minutes, Matt.
Yeah, let's give it 2 minutes.
do you guys have a favorite world yet? Okay, so I'm going to give you a heads up.
What's the
You
name of the
need
golf course?
a mini golf course, 25
Yeah.
holes of golf, and you don't play with a golf stick. What you do? What do you call a golf club? Sorry, obviously I don't golf, but it's a mini golf course with little basketballs. So when you pick up a basketball, it's sort of a small size, and then you pick it up and it becomes like a golf ball. 25 holes. But I have to tell you, Burning Man's here in Altspace. And if you go to the featured list of worlds, on the third page is Black Rock City. So
Oh,
you
cool.
guys have to go to Black Rock City. If any of you, if your headsets don't die on you during this event, and you want an escort later after the event's over, hit me up. I'll be here, happy to take you there. And anybody that doesn't know how to fly, I'll teach you how to fly. Everybody should know how to fly in Altspace. Okay, Matt, I'm done. You can go. Sorry.
Hey, speaking of flying, I actually was able to impress Nav the other day by dunking in my basketball court.
Whoa, very nice. That's awesome.
I mean, I suspend myself in air for a while, but it's little things.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, that's very empowering feeling, because playing basketball, you guys put a basketball hoop in your home space and just practice, because it is tough. It's harder than it looks. So congrats.
Thank you. I'm thinking about starting an Altspace professional league. Maybe I'll be a player coach.
Okay, guys.
We've been
Yes.
warned.
You guys,
All right.
sports in VR is a real thing. Like, it's a real thing. Anyways, go for it.
Well, let's give our camera crew a bit of a cue here, guys. We'll kick things off in 3, 2, and welcome everyone for joining us for the latest and greatest Global HR Summit Digital Transformation Meetup. So glad to have everyone here tonight. I see some familiar faces in the crowd. I see some new faces, which to me is a great blend. Means some people enjoyed previous sessions, Donna, and some new folks are curious about hearing some stuff about the Global HR Summit. So we'll spend the next 30 or so minutes talking through the conference, why we're here, why it's important, why you should join with us. And then we'll also spend a bit of time talking a bit about why a number of business executives thought it was a good idea to have a meeting in Altspace. And we'll talk a bit about kind of the origin story and why it's important for us that this is the venue for that particular meeting. We're also, Donna, going to have an opportunity to introduce a couple of our speakers. So in the back of the room, we have Bob St. Jacques. Bob, can you just raise your hand or throw up some emojis? There's Bob. And we have Mr. William Tincup here next to me here with a wonderful thick beard and is it orange? Is that red? I don't know. I'm colorblind, William. I apologize.
It's an orange red. Yeah.
It's like an auburn color.
Yeah.
Be joining us here for this evening, just taking us through a bit about themselves, some introductions about their backgrounds, and just to give you a bit of perspective on the kind of people you'll be able to connect with and meet at this particular conference. Before we do that, I do want to spend a couple of minutes talking a bit about the Global HR Summit and why we've chosen Altspace as the forum for that conversation. First, as a show of hands or with your emojis, who here has a relationship with work in some way? Either you work at a company, a small business, you have your own business, you're a manager, you're a leader. Show of hands. Okay, looks like nearly every single person in this room has a connection to work. Now, show of hands, who believes work is perfect right now? Not as many hands. The challenge we have with work is that many of the organizations that we work with and we support and that we spend most of our waking hours as part of are using dated structures and dated architecture to run businesses that really must be more agile and adaptable for the 21st century. And the consequence of that dissonance is that it can be frustrating for consumers and it can be very frustrating for the people that work in those organizations. And I'm sure we could spend the next 45 minutes talking about each of your individual examples and experiences of where perhaps work or an organization or one of its leaders didn't meet its expectations or didn't meet your expectations. And we know that as a profession. So what we talked about in the context of the Global HR Summit is this is an opportunity for us to take a look at work more broadly with a different lens. And COVID-19, unfortunately, has been the accelerant for many tragic events, and we can spend time talking about those. And it's been the accelerant for us to illuminate opportunities and challenges that we know predated this pandemic and that will exist after this pandemic, um, as we seek to try and find a better work experience for everyone. So our original thought was, let's bring together a number of business executives from all around the world, from different walks of life and industries and backgrounds and experiences, and let's have a conversation about what's happening now and how can we really make things better on a go-forward basis. So we have that part talked about. So why AltSpace? Because you guys have likely seen an innumerable number of Zoom calls or email threads or other types of meetups. The reality is that most of us live in jurisdictions where coming together in large groups of people simply isn't a reality anymore. And it won't be a reality, unfortunately, for some time yet. However, we still as human beings have an innate call for connection, and we have an innate call to spend time with one another to talk about important things. So rather than delay this conversation until after things return to some new normal, or to put this conference on a two-dimensional communication method like a Zoom or a typical web conference, we thought, if we're going to talk about connection at work, we have to walk the talk and bring together using a medium that really does reinforce connection. And I've been in this environment, the AltSpace environment, for now going on 8 weeks. So not very long, but in that short period of time, I have met some incredible people from all around the world with different stories and experiences and backgrounds and passions that have inspired me to look at problems differently. And I'm so excited for September 8th, 9th, and 10th, where we're going to bring together thousands of people with the same type of methodology to walk through 3 full days of programming regarding topics that make sense at a time when we're all looking at work and how it can be better on a go-forward basis. So with that said, a bit about my background. I spent most of my career in corporate human resources, a little bit in marketing, a little bit in operations, but mostly in HR. And my job was largely to architect organizational cultures that looked like restructuring projects, mergers and acquisitions, large technology implementations. But what binds all those activities together is a couple of key defining factors. The first is that more often than not, when you're going to initiate change, you need a burning platform. And you need some sort of rallying cry around what challenges are you trying to solve for, and how does this path forward reveal some solutions to that. And we clearly have big challenges in front of us with COVID-19 and all the changes that are going to have to occur on the other side of that. We're dealing with major amounts of social unrest in nearly every corner of the world right now. And we're dealing with environmental challenges that are very real and are wreaking havoc on our environment as we speak. And at the same time, we know that this opportunity that we have here is the accelerant for meaningful, thoughtful dialogue as we seek to redefine and redesign workplaces for the future. Because ultimately, hey Bob, ultimately here we have the opportunity as workers, as leaders, as organization founders to create a different dynamic and create a different construct that works for everyone, not just for the select few people. And over the course of those 3 days, we're bringing together speakers like my friend Bob here, like my friend William here, to talk about topics that are relevant. So we have a program that includes subjects as far diverse as, ethical implications of talent analytics, the new challenges of working parents, diversity and equity inclusion reimagined. And William here is leading a panel on HR in a post-COVID world, the new normal, and what we've learned from those situations as HR leaders. And we have a number of other topics that we'll be digging into, including a suite of immersive technologies that we believe has the potential to really change work for the better. So this conference is an opportunity for us to connect with individuals and to connect with each other in an immersive and thoughtful and compelling way. But this technology also has significant amount of use cases when it comes to a lot of transactions and activities that happen every single day inside of organizations, small, medium, and large. Things like hiring, things like training, things like performance management, which traditionally would have been performed face-to-face, but now unfortunately are happening too often with things like Zoom or conference calls or email threads. Whereas we have the opportunity with technology like this to really enhance those types of interactions that frankly need to be more intimate, because people do matter, and organizations, if nothing else, are a collection of people. So over the course of those 3 days, we're going to be talking about topics like that, using technology that's compelling. And I'll let you in a little secret. For me, this is a giant Trojan horse. We have 58 confirmed speakers. 50 of them have never spoken in virtual reality before. And they work in some of the world's largest organizations from around the globe. And they themselves are getting their first experiences in what virtual reality can mean. And I'm going to ask William, and I'm going to ask Bob to walk us through some of their early observations about the technology. And you'll hear from them directly their own impressions of what they've seen in this very early stage of virtual reality. And I'm optimistic that they, along with our attendees, will be inspired to take different learnings back to their organizations, to ask for change, to put the money and the resources against the opportunity for us to reinvent things in the workplace, and ultimately make work better for everyone. Because we can do this on a one-to-one basis. We can have these small scale meetups and we can have small group discussions about the problems and the challenges and the opportunities, or we can scale it. And we scale it by bringing together people in large groups. And that's what this event is for. So thank you for the opportunity to walk through a bit about the Global HR Summit. Before I turn things over to engaging with my colleagues here, Bob, who can join us up here front now, Bob and William, are there any questions for me regarding the Global HR Summit itself that I can answer? And if you want to raise your hand, I can call upon you and amplify your voice. So just go ahead and use your emoji to raise your hand, and then I'll just amplify your voice so everyone can hear your question. I'll make it off easy today, Donna.
Oh, it won't last long.
It won't last. It never does. But here are a couple more details about the conference. So democratization of access and democratization of barriers to entry was a really important part of what we did, in addition to having a diverse group of speakers. So what that means is for a 3-day conference that's offered in virtual reality, we're charging $99 for the event. I went to a Zoom conference last week that cost me $600 for 6 hours. And we're charging $100 for 3 days in virtual reality. And I'll be even more transparent. This conference and all of the speakers that are in it are volunteering their time, including my organization and my partners at Genius Ventures. All of our time, all of our energy, all of our resources has been donated in service to bringing this to the market at a price point that is compelling, that introduces low barriers to entry. It's the same reason why we made the conference free for all educators and all students globally, and why we've offered team discounts for organizations that want to bring their entire groups together to use as a bonding experience in a time where disconnection, unfortunately, is all too common. And that's the same reason why we brought together this group of really compelling speakers, because they themselves, while we have complementary interests and complementary backgrounds, we each have also complementary audiences. And the individuals that speak to William on a regular basis or Bob on a regular basis are also folks that speak to me, but there's enough crossover, but enough differences that the aggregation of all those people together is a really compelling number of audience members in the millions of people across our social media platforms. So when we talk about our experiences in AltSpace, when we talk about our experiences at the conference before, during, and after, we're talking to millions of people. And these people are the individuals inside of organizations that have budgets, that have mandates, that have the persistence to see change through. So we're not just talking to ourselves in a vacuum, we're talking to people that can actually legitimately influence change. And that's what gets me really excited, is that we have the opportunity to realize that change and to see this adoption of this technology really pick things up. And when I looked at immersive technologies about, originally the beginning of 2020, I'll be honest, my perceptions of this technology were pretty narrow. I thought it was a gaming solution. My brother and my nieces and nephews play, they play in the VR environment. They spend time as a family connecting. That was my context for virtual reality. It was only when I started to look at this technology with more intention and more creativity around it that I realized the numerous number of use cases that are present. And I know in saying that I wouldn't have had that reality if I didn't come here. That I'd heard and read articles in Harvard Business Review and Forbes and talked to people who were in the XR industry. And I would nod my head politely and say, yeah, I understand that you're in with virtual reality and that sounds like it's a fun job. But I never really understood. And there's something about being in the environment where until you're here, it's really hard to explain why this is so compelling. So back to my analogy of the Trojan horse, by bringing together thousands of people into this environment, many of them for the first time, we expose them to something they've never seen before. And I know these people, they're thoughtful, they're smart, and they're purposeful. And when they see what we've seen in this room this evening and before this, we will realize change on the back end of this conference. And that's what gets me really excited. So without further ado, I want to ask that our speakers join me up here. I see BJ's joined us. Hey, BJ, how are you? I see Bob has joined us, and we have William here. In the next little while here, I'm going to, or if Donna, if you wouldn't mind helping me amplify the voices of our fellow speakers, what we'll do is I want to introduce each of them individually. I'm going to have them talk to each of you about their backgrounds very briefly so you understand the kind of diverse group we're talking about here. And then I want them each to answer the same singular question, which is why? Why are you here? In a space where it's so easy to do nothing, it's so easy to get focused in on Twitter and YouTube and what's happening in society right now. Why are they taking time out of their schedules to spend it with us and here in Altspace, and why do they believe this conference is a good use of that time? And I want you to hear those answers because to me, that's really why we're doing this. That's the reason why we believe this is the opportunity for us, and I don't use these words lightly, to change the world. So with that said, I want to introduce my first fellow speaker, Mr. William Tincup. William, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing really well. William, we've known each other now for what, going on 3 years, I think it is? And
at least that.
at
And
least
I
that,
owe
yeah.
you a lot of money, right? I mean, it's
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say it here in front of these people, but now that we have you here, yeah, you owe me a lot of money.
right,
Yes.
right.
And
I think about
you
3
coming
years.
at the conference.
I think we've known of each other longer than that, by the way.
It's very true. I mean, coming to this conference, William, is first off a way for you to work off your debt. So thank you for coming. And secondly, I've always really appreciated your perspective on the organizational culture, the business landscape. If for no other reason than you're a really refreshing breath of air when it comes to being authentic and genuine. You don't sugarcoat your opinions on things. You don't give us corporate speak. You tell it like you see it, and you start conversations with people because you do tell it like you see it. You don't wrap yourself in a sort of corporate blanket. Perhaps for the audience's benefit, if you just walk us through a bit about your background, your experiences, and then finally, what brought you to Altspace? Why come to this conference?
So, background, I've been studying HR and recruiting technology for about 20 years. So if anyone's bored enough or would like to know about payroll systems or performance management systems or recruiting systems, I know all about those. I started in marketing. I owned an ad agency and a web development agency, sold both. And I fell in love with HR, and I fell in love with recruiting. And so that's the background. You can look, obviously everything's pretty much on LinkedIn or any of the social channels, so you can look me up if you'd like, if you care to. There's two things, Matt, that really got me excited about this. First of all, it's just something new. I've spoken all over the world on HR and recruiting topics, and this was the first opportunity to do something in virtual, and so it was a new opportunity to talk about HR recruiting in a virtual environment in front of a different audience, which I thought was really, really nice. Since getting into VR, I think one of the things as the conference will explore, but as you've already kind of talked a little bit about, there's applicability when you look at HR from sourcing, finding talent, all the way through the hiring process and then things that you do as an employee, like performance, succession, compensation, things like that. There's applicability for VR everywhere. Like it is actually a little bit endless. That you could see it in, like in recruiting, you could see VR used. Like we could right now be in a virtual tryout for a job, where we've had virtual tryouts before, but they've been assessments. Whereas this could be actually a real environment, a real world where we solve some type of real problem together. And it'd be a wonderful way to kind of see fit. Does this work for me? Does this work for the company, et cetera? So you can kind of see things like this would create a really interesting candidate experience and a really great experience for employers. And obviously, I mean, I could go through all of HR and show you different examples of where this is applicable. But I'm just excited. I appreciate you asking. A, B, now that I'm in it and exploring, probably like everybody here, I'm just seeing more and more applications in recruiting and in HR. And I'll stop for a second.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Every time I come in here, I think about something new that we could do that would make something that's not that great today better. William, performance management, it's a dirty word, a dirty term in the HR realm. Nobody likes it in most large
Right.
organizations. It's a bureaucratic administrative process, um, largely highlighted by, formulaic filling out of paperwork, not really any connection, and it becomes transactional, and no one enjoys it. The HR people who administer it don't like doing it. The employee, the manager don't enjoy it. So I think about performance management, and we've been talking about redesigning that for 20 years, by
Right.
developing a new methodology or a new form or a new process. But this is an opportunity to actually do something in a thoughtful way, and for the first time, create a consistent experience for those workers who may not be in the same physical space as their leaders, which is for
That's
a
right.
lot of people now a growing number of people.
Well, and it's the new reality, as you asked about the session that we're going to talk a little bit about, is location is it's gone. Like the
Mhm.
idea, especially with knowledge workers, the idea that you have to be tethered to Topeka, Kansas, or Singapore, or whatever, you don't. And I think we would have eventually gotten there, right? We would have eventually gotten to that place. Now you can live anywhere you want to work, or anywhere you want to live, and you can work for anybody you want to work for. So if I want to get a job for a company that just so happens to be in Paris, fantastic. So I think, from the session perspective, or I think one of the things that we'll explore during the conference is just one of these. We've always been tethered to location. In fact, culture, when people talk about culture, business culture, corporate culture, they generally are talking about, the ping pong tables and the free lunches and things like that, which, you know, now that people for the last 8 months or so have experienced working from wherever, the air's out of the bottle. We're not going to go
Mhm.
back. Well, some people, I should temper that a little bit. Some people are going to want to go back, and that's okay. So I think what's going to create the employee choice, which is a
Yep.
really interesting construct for HR, is now employees can then choose. I can come into the office, or I can work from home, or I can work from Denver. I can work from wherever I want, and if I want to come to the office, great. If I don't, great. But as it relates to performance reviews, imagine us all being on a team together. Let's say or at a consulting shop or an accounting shop, and we're all on a team together. We could actually be talking to each other about giving each other feedback. Like, hey, that last meeting, man, you were really, really spot on. The presentation was fantastic. Like, we can all, again, different time zones, different locations, all of that stuff, but we can give each other feedback both, personally and in a group setting, which will, I think, be better for most people. It's this idea that you have to sit down with a form.
Yep.
I hope those days are over. However, you and I both know that there's a lot of people that use forms for performance management, but this would be a wonderful way to actually sit and talk to people about, like, hey, how can I get better? Like, what can I do? In fact, there's a question that I use with business partners all the time, that if any of you have business partners, this is a great question to ask your business partner occasionally. What am I doing that's holding you back, or what am I doing that's pissing you off? Like, let's just cut through all the the pomp and circumstance. There's probably something that I'm doing, and every time I've asked a business partner this, there's always been something. Like, oh, William, now that you've asked, if you could not do that bit, oh, well, I had no idea. I had no idea that was so. Like, asking for that type of feedback in this environment, I'd be extremely comfortable, and I think it would be just a wonderful way. I mean, we're deep in performance management now, and feedback, and 360, and some of the fun things. But this is a wonderful way to use modern technology to just give people, you know, praise, if you will. If it's constructive criticism, I would probably take that one on one and maybe go into a world and just say, hey, listen, the last meeting, you showed up late, there's a couple problems that we probably need to work through. It's probably really easy stuff, But I do subscribe, as I think you do, that public praise and private criticism.
Yeah.
But still, in this environment, you can do that. So anyhow, I'm excited. I'm super excited about the conference because I think that you've put together both a medium that's really truly unique, you and your partners, and just all the different sessions and a way to talk about HR and a way to think about HR differently, which just I haven't seen in at all, actually.
I appreciate that. It's and I just want to make one additional point, and I want to invite my colleague Mara up here to join me. Mara, you're going to support us for the second half of this session. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way.
My pleasure.
I think, William, one thing I just want to touch on before I step away is you're absolutely right, which is any opportunity that we traditionally, like, let's be honest, we have some old school leaders that want to be in the same physical space as their colleagues. They
Right.
want to come into the office every day. They want to see the people in the office. They want to see smiling faces. They just have this, this world belief that this needs to happen. And for some individuals, that just wasn't possible because of a variety of limitations, geography, access, disability, economics. And we took, to your point, a very geographically insular view when it came to talent. With the advent of this technology, we now have the opportunity to look at talent completely differently. Whereas we can bring people in who are truly the most qualified, engaged, best fit for organizations, and no longer is it a conversation of, yeah, but they don't live in Topeka, Kansas. They don't live in
Right.
Shanghai, China. Now they can literally be anywhere in the world. And if that manager or that employee wants a conversation that includes a deeper connection, we now have a medium for the first time that allows that to occur, which democratizes access for a ton of people, which gets me really excited. So thank you so much for taking a chance. I know that your schedule is busy. Appreciate your feedback. I know that you appreciate you telling it like it is. And looking forward to having you join us at the conference on September 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you.
And Mara, I'll turn things over to yourself to do a fantastic
She's
job.
right behind you.
Oh, see? Mara, I was always making sure that things go well. And with that said, Mara, I want to introduce one of my co-founders for the conference, Mara, who will take us through the second half of the conference. Thank you, everyone, for your attention today, and looking forward to being in touch very shortly.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you, William, for that awesome chat. So my name's Mara. I'm the VP of Global PR at Genius Ventures. Oh,
Hello. Try it again. I could hear.
can you hear my voice now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I could hear.
Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still new with this.
Everybody clap.
All right. Show of hands, who can hear me now? Fabulous. Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Mara. I'm the VP of Global PR at Genius Ventures, Inc. We are an immersive technology enterprise focused on AR and VR. I'm also one of the founders of the Global HR Summit, and I'm super excited to be here tonight with all of you. And we're very blessed tonight to have William with us. We also have Barbara Gray, and we also have Robert. This is our first time meeting as well, I believe. Awesome. So without further ado, I'd love to invite Barbara if you want to come up here and share a few words about yourself and why you decided to be part of the Global HR Summit with us as well.
All right.
Welcome. All right, so we're going to amplify your voice as well. So if you go over to the host tools on your right, you just click amplify my voice.
There we go.
Did it work?
Hi, Mara. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everyone else hear Barbara?
I can. I certainly can.
All right.
Awesome. Perfect. So
Can you
we'd love to hear more about what you do and why you decide to be part of the Global HR Summit with us.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I go by BJ, mostly BJ Gray. So Barbara is something my mother calls me. But
My
thanks,
bad.
Mara, for reminding me that. I've spent most of my career working in Fortune 500 companies, and about 3 years ago, I decided to become a alumni of the corporate world and start my own business called Gray Matter, where I now work with emerging leaders on how to build relationships, better communication, engagement with their employees, sort of teaching them the soft skills of being a leader, I guess. And when I was asked about this conference, I was super curious to see how virtual reality could play a role in leadership development or in employee engagement. And building on what William just said, as this would be a good space for us to work with employees, I feel like the reason why is because this place feels safe. It feels safer than just being in an office across from a desk, giving someone feedback or having a crucial conversation. So I'm wondering if this virtual reality could be a place that makes it easier, safer, more engaged with your employee to have that kind of conversation. I also feel like in this space right now, I'm not as nervous talking to you guys as I would be if I was on stage or in a small conference room with you. So again, I think it all goes back to safety and belonging, that this could be an interesting future technology to use in the workplace. Thanks. That's pretty much it. I'm more curious than anything.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for that, BJ. And thank you for letting me know how to pronounce your name correctly.
Oh,
awesome. Fabulous, fabulous. Cool. Awesome. Robert, I'd love to invite you up here as well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
Fabulous. Well, yeah, I can hear you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Can everyone hear Robert?
Can everybody hear me?
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Welcome, Robert. I'll let you take it away. I'd love to hear more about who you are, what you do, and why you chose to be part of the Global HR Summit.
Sure. Thank you. So I started my career a long time ago, a couple years ago, more than a couple maybe. Basically, I drafted federal labor legislation in Parliament, worked with these people called lawyers, decided to become one of them. So I was a labor and employment lawyer for many years. Don't hold it against me. I'm a recovering lawyer. Everything's going fine. But since about 2000, I transitioned into the HR world. And I developed a level of expertise through doing things wrong many times over and learning from it in terms of HR transformations focused on implementing technology. So you can imagine what that looked like in early, late 99, early 2000, and coming through to today. So basically it's just working with folks all over the world and helping transform organizations, and I've done it all over the world. So one thing that surprised me, and it was a fantastic learning, was I was able to drop in. I've lived in the Middle East and Europe and Africa and Southeast Asia, and I've done some very progressive and very very elongated and very elegant HR tech stacks in places like Lagos, in places like Nairobi, in the Middle East, all over Southeast Asia as well. And so it's not just something that happens in North America or Europe. And it was fascinating to see different organizations in different parts of the world and how they handle these things. So this brings me to today, right? It's just what I see with this technology is the amazing ability to bring people together, right? And so before I had to get on a plane in 14 hours and waiting and transferring and so on and so forth, and dealing with immigration and yellow fever shots and so on and so forth. And now this would make things a lot easier in terms of having, collaborating, working with people in the VR environment. And one thing that struck me that William said, where did he go? Okay. He used one word that I think it just, really resonates with me and why I'm here and why I'm excited. Choice. Because you can create worlds, right? You can't create another office if somebody feels uncomfortable. It's too claustrophobic. It's too open. It's too loud. It's too this. It's too that. And I've been a big proponent of choice since I first saw the concept of a cafeteria plan way back in like 2001, where people were able to, back then it was an Excel and people had to tick off a box and choose the benefits they wanted, right? And then, when we did surveys, people were so much happier. And they said, one of the reasons for it was they felt like they were in control. Well, there you go, right? Here, you can feel like you're in control because you can basically pay attention to individuals' choices, what's a better environment for them, how they like to see things, which is really hard to do in the real world. or it's impossible. I mean, unless you have a budget that's unlimited, and nobody has that. So this is what intrigues me, right? So to me, it's like the next iteration of my career. It's bringing it together and doing these things without having to get on planes, without having to say, yeah, I know you want A, B, C, but I can only give you A. In certain circumstances, I maybe can give you A and C, but not B. Well, now here in these type of environments, you can give people what they want. This is why I'm intrigued. This is why I'm kind of hyper and passionate and a little bit nerdy about all this. It's just that ability to take choice, to take the employee experience, right? Like, everybody talks about customer experience. There've been, people have been able to make customized sneakers. You can customize your own car now, right? You want, orange cup holders in your Toyota, whatever. You can get that. Why can't we do that in the workplace? Choose the workplace, choose your environment, right? And, again, up until now, that's been fairly cost prohibitive to do that, but, the barriers are coming down. So yeah, you can tell I'm a little bit nerdy and excited about this.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And you got me all fired up to know about the possibilities with XR technology for HR. It's really amazing. We can literally create anything we want, a new world, new office, at a fraction of the cost. Awesome. Well, I'd love to, is William still here? I don't see him. I wanted to invite all the speakers up to the front if anyone had some questions to ask about the Global HR Summit, or maybe about which panels you guys are speaking on and the topics. So, oops, sorry. Barbara, I'd love to invite you up front as well to join us. Perfect. And yeah, I'd love to open up the floor if anyone had any questions for Barbara or Robert. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Do you want to put your speaker on? Perfect. Donna, are you moderating the questions?
I can if you'd like.
Please, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No
Fabulous.
problem. Okay.
Thank you.
So what I want you guys to do, just so you know, when you amplify your voice, everyone in the room can hear. So in order to amplify your voice, down to your bottom right, you now see a raise hand button. Click that raise hand button. I am going to amplify your voice. Okay, Ted, you're on deck.
Hey, thanks for speaking. Quick question. Does this necessitate that everyone would own a VR headset in order for us to function in the future? Thank you.
Who is the question directed to? Robert or Barbara?
Let's open it up to whoever feels most qualified.
All right. Robert, do you have anything to say about his question?
Not as an expert, because I would say as a learner, and learning from a team of employees that we've put together. So instead of going back to work, we've created a team of employees, and they're the forward to work team, right? So we're going forward to work. What does that look like? And so to your point, right, we're exploring the different types of technologies that are available, right? From the very high-end Microsoft HoloLens and AR environments to VR environments. For us, between, again, this is for our small company, what we are leaning towards is providing people with everybody with a VR headset, including our customers. And providing it to them so we can have meetings, right? Not the thousands of employees with our customers, our customer contact, right? So there'll be 5, 6 of our employees, our team, working on their project and doing that. That works for us. I don't know if it'll work for everybody else, right? But I'm learning from interacting with our forward to work team and trying to see that. Where did we get the money from? Well, we're not paying like huge 5 figures in rent anymore. So 50 headsets at $500 pops, $25,000. That's less than a month's rent for us, right? So you can start to see how these type of environments actually would save us money. So we've got a pilot test that we've just started based on employee feedback. So I'm not speaking as an expert. I'm speaking as a conduit from brilliant people who are on this our forward to work team.
That's a great answer.
Thank you. That's brilliant.
Awesome. Any other questions? No?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I thought you were going to call on me to answer. So hang on. I'll just get the next question. Steve,
Fabulous, thank you.
go ahead.
Okay. Hi, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I've been having issues with my my microphone. But not so much questions, more like a comment. And I was actually going to make it last week at last week's meetup, but I couldn't get my microphone to work. Is it this very much this moment in time feels very much like 1985, and I'm thinking, should I buy that computer or not? This new thing called a computer. That's kind of the vibe I get with VR and where we're at. Would you agree? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pitchfork, go ahead.
Hi, I forgot I haven't changed my name yet. Yeah, I'll do that. Have you you mentioned being employed in other countries, and maybe this isn't the forum to ask this question, but I was wondering how you anticipated dealing with countries with different sort of income situations or pay situations, union situations, things like that, and how you would see that sort of working on a large scale. And that may be too big of a question here, but I just wanted to see if that was being thought of.
Sorry, who is the question directed to?
I don't know. Whoever.
This is an open panel. All right, Barbara, do you want to start with the question? Let's just do that. That's a good flow.
What did you talk about in terms of
Oh,
international?
can you
No, I
repeat the
could barely
question?
hear.
No worries.
Sure. I was, people were talking about sort of freedom of employment with companies from different countries and things like that. And I was wondering,
I don't know if my internet connection's not good, but I can't hear him at all. So I'm gonna pass and let you guys talk because I can't hear the other person.
No worries, Barbara. No worries.
Okay,
Would you want to help answering the question?
if I heard you correctly, you're asking about the applicability of this technology across multiple countries, given different cost structures.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, and yes.
Yeah, that's a great question because I've had to deal with that on the technology side, right? Because if you're, in the old days, it was Oracle or SAP or PeopleSoft. And so people said, well, oh my gosh, we pay somebody $50,000 in the US or Canada, and we only pay $12,000 for that person in the Philippines. And, it's a different system. Well, what I had to do was reorient when we did our business case to the value that technology was adding, right? And why we would want to roll it out in all these various countries. And so I think it's the same argument here, right? Because again, today a developer in Vancouver makes $120,000 Canadian, right, which is like 95,000 US, and somebody in the Philippines maybe makes 40,000. Somebody in KL makes 60,000. And so it's the different cost centers. Then you look at the cost of a VR headset. It's what, $400 I think for a Quest right now. And you need to work backwards and say, okay, what's the ROI on an individual in Malaysia or the Philippines or in a low-cost center having that piece of kit, and will it drive overall productivity, right? Especially being able to collaborate with different people in different parts of the world. So that's typically how I made that argument, was the technology should be applied to all parts of the organization in different cost centers. Again, maybe staggered or whatever, so they can get some value out of it first. But that's typically, and this is, I think the difficulty that happens, and you'll see that in many organizations where Workday will only be implemented in North America and Europe, for example, and everybody else has to use the basic versions of those tools, or stay with Excel sheets.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for that
Perfect.
question. Okay, Walter, you're up.
Great. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Hey, I guess a question for you, Bob. So from the use cases that you see in HR, I know you mentioned a couple of them already, but what would you say is your favorite use case? What's the one that really you get excited about within all the different from the use cases for VR in HR?
Obviously, you meet me standing up here virtually and nerding out and so on. It's the learning and development aspect of it. What I do miss, and I'm a university professor as well, is that interaction, right? So I can teach a Zoom call, and man, it's a downer. It's exhausting. It's draining. Half the people are distracted. They're looking at their phones. They're looking at other tabs on their screen. You're all in here, right? I know unless most of you, I can tell you're not looking at your phones right now. Okay, you're paying attention to me, and so we're not going to spend 3 hours at a meeting, right? We're focused on each other. 45 minutes. Hey, we're done. We're focused. That's where I think, in terms of the impact, is where the tool I think should start in. That's Matt talks about Trojan horses. For us, I think it is going to be the L&D aspect of it, and where we can get that piece. Now, on a personal level, I used to teach class at night, which was a mistake. So I teach from 7 to 10, and I couldn't get this until 2 a.m. right, because of the interactions. Because there would be a hint, hey, maybe that's something you should do for a living, because I'd get so excited and so jazzed up about it. I lost that. I'll be transparent and honest. Teaching via Zoom sucks. Absolutely. I tried standing up. I tried being in front of whiteboards. I tried being behind a lit glass. I thought, oh, I could look at people. I'm going to turn my back to them. I'm behind a piece of glass. It's lit, and I'm writing things down. No, that still sucked. It wasn't until a few weeks ago I joined Matt, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I can finally fall in love with L&D again, because it was just so draining to do it the other way. That's a very personal response, but I think there's a lot of people out there who enjoy that kind of back and forth.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Do we have any more questions for Robert? No, I would love to hear more about your panel topic, what you're talking about, who you're talking with. Maybe you can share more with the audience about the Global HR Summit and what you got going on there.
Bob's going to do a quick re-enter just to get his voice stabilized a bit. Okay.
No worries. Sounds good.
Yeah,
awesome. Perfect. Cool. So how's everyone doing so far?
Fine. Will you guys be here
Good.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Yeah. Will you all be here tomorrow again?
For the meetup? No, I think the next one will be on Tuesday and then Thursday again. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Donna.
No, you're right.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it'll be 9 a.m. on Tuesday, and then it'll be Thursday, 6 o'clock.
And she's talking Pacific time.
Oh, sorry, yeah, PST, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just show of hands quickly. Where is everyone from right now? So who's from East Coast, Canada, or States?
States.
State. Nice.
Canada.
Canada.
About Canada, exactly. Cheer for Canada there, Rob.
Yeah, Canada. Perfect. Awesome. All right, welcome back, Robert.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Oh yeah, sorry. So I would love to hear more about your panel discussion going on at the Global HR Summit. So who you're talking with, what you're talking about, what people can expect.
Yeah. So basically, I'm with Williamton Cup. So so I get to nerd out there because I've been a big fan for a while, and so that's kind of cool. And the aspect that we'll be addressing is in terms of COVID-19, right? Because there's a lot of Matt talked about it being an accelerant. And it's so true, right? Because to his point, Matt talked about the folks who still really love The Office and think that's be all end all. I've seen people change, right? Because it's hard to ignore data in front of you. You can say, oh, people working from home, nothing will get done. And all of a sudden the money's still coming in and your NPS scores go up and everything. So the data actually shatters your beliefs. And so, we're going to talk about more along the lines of, okay, what beliefs have been shattered? And then let's be honest with, this crowd, especially if you're in HR, how do we take advantage of it? And I mean that word, take advantage of it, right? We've built up, we've got a lot of data, we've got a little information, so we can be evidence-based and say, look, we now have data. It's not a meta-analysis of 9,000 other studies covering millions of people saying, you're more productive if you work from home. We could ignore that, apparently. But when it's right in front of you, it's your company, it's your revenue, and it's your clients telling you this, that seems to carry a lot of weight. So let's then say, okay, this has been proven to work. It's now in front of you, and how do we take advantage of it? And then going down to, how do we do this in L&D? How do we do this in recruiting? How do we do this in onboarding? How do we do this in performance management? And just working through all those pieces, and in terms of collaboration and so on.
That's
so
amazing.
You'll have to you come see the conference to see what we're going to say about it and how to do it.
That's amazing. Thank you, Robert. And the data, it's true. The data is really showing in a post-COVID world that working remotely is actually, people are more productive and more creative and working better. So I'm really excited for what the future holds and the future of work. I've been working remotely for years, and I've been the most productive this way. And I end up putting in more work because I'm so happy with the company. So yeah, I'm very excited about what's to come. I'm very excited about your panel at the Global HR Summit as well. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. So let's give a round of applause to Robert. Awesome. Robert, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Just before we finish, we've got a few minutes left. I just wanted to open it up to any more questions you have for maybe myself or Robert about the Global HR Summit. All right, no questions, no questions. Yeah, there's a few minutes left. Does anyone maybe want to mingle around, do some networking perhaps? Donna, do you have anything else planned for the meetup today?
Nope, that's it.
Perfect. All right, well, let's network and mingle. What do you? Awesome. Perfect. Thanks for coming, everyone. Hey, Robert. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was awesome. Cool, cool, cool. So how are you looking in VR?
Oh, like I said, I love it, because it's a lot more tactile and interactive than even would have been used to in Zoom for the past few months. And it started before, right? Because I was traveling so much, and it was just exhausted. I was on the road 8-9 months, so this is brilliant.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Mara, I just have a quick question. I'm on
for sure.
one of the I'm on one of the panels on the first aid, the next generation of learning technologies, and I'm just wondering. I think there are 3 of us on the panel. Is there someone going to be? I presume someone's going to be moderating and firing off questions.
Yes, for sure. I will double check for you who will be moderating, and then I'll get an email sent to get you in touch with everyone on the panel and the moderators, so you have your questions prepared and everything. So I'll talk with Matt. I believe they're in the meeting right now, and I'll get it sorted for you.
Sure, sounds awesome.
Awesome, thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too.
Cheers.
And nice meeting you, Bob.
Nice meeting you, Rob.
Rob and Bob.
Rob and Bob.
Ontario, are you from Ontario or Quebec? Or?
I'm from, well, I was originally from Nova Scotia, but I'm living in Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Another Canadian.
Yeah. Yay.
Awesome. The beauty of VR, you can be anywhere in the world, and we can still be in the same room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. It's incredible.
Greetings from Argentina here.
Hey,
Argentina.
Argentina. Nice. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Are you coming to the summit as well?
I'm thinking about it. I just realized of it and joined this event,
Nice.
but I'm considering it.
Welcome. Well, yeah, we'd love to see you there. If you ever want more information, you can go to the website, globalhrsummit.com, And it's free for students and educators. So if you're a student, you can get a free ticket as well and join us. Perfect.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheers. Perfect. Well, I gotta hop out at 7 o'clock now. It was lovely to meet you all, and I will see you next Tuesday. You're gonna come to the meeting on Tuesday morning?
Yes, we'll see you there.
Meet up on that. Perfect. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
See everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.